Like many people, the only thing keeping me from all the benefits of meditation is that I'm terrible at it. But the experts say I'm looking at it all wrong, and that lots more good stuff is happening than I've noticed. Welcome to 5-Minute Spirituality. It's a look at how the great spiritual masters help you enjoy and thrive in your life right now. So as you'll have picked up, I meditate, or practice what the Trappist monks call centering prayer, pretty much every day as one important part of this larger journeying spiritual life we've been talking about. But the first time I read about meditation in a way that got past my defenses wasn't even in a book that especially believed in meditation. I was reading about something else, where as a throw-in, the author said meditation might be helpful, and they suggested doing it on the toilet as a time saver. Let me just say, having now read many a meditation book and listened to a few experts, these early folks are alone in recommending the toilet approach. Most of the meditation, centering prayer, contemplation gang are, for instance, very big on some of the formalities like posture. The centering prayer folks, for instance, say it's not worth doing for less than 20 minutes a session, of which they recommend 2 sessions a day. So these folks are pretty into it. But the mellow, low-bar introduction was actually really helpful for me. Suddenly, rather than thinking I would never be like those contemplative folks, I thought, well, why not? It didn't sound that hard, and I could use the help they describe. As I've mentioned, at first I was looking at my watch as the second hand clicked, and I thought I could never make it a minute. But then I did, and I went for 2, and then 5, and then 10, and then I called it. And I kept doing it day after day, soon making it to the centering prayer people's 20-minute session recommendation. But finally, I had to ask myself one question and assess myself with one judgment. Here's the judgment. I was terrible at this. I did it, sure, and I seemed to like it enough to keep doing it to some degree day after day. But my thoughts bombarded me each time, and sometimes I did gently let them go and welcome them, but often I just followed them. I wasn't that into the postures, and I'm still a little lax in that, truth be told. During playoff seasons of pro teams I followed, I wondered if it would be okay to keep the score face up on my phone for me to glance at every now and again. So I should call these videos something like Confessions of a Crummy Meditator. And that's the first thing to troubleshoot. Do I stink at this, and should I care? Here's the advice every single expert gives, and initially it won't be comforting. Everyone stinks at this. Veterans realize a lot more than you do all the ways they stink at this. The difference between them and you is they do it anyway. So then why do it if we're just going to stink at it? First, just to note, as a flawed but nonetheless very regular meditator, again, as I've said, I can say I've gotten a ton of benefit out of this. I'm less anxious. I'm better in touch with myself and my emotions. I'm much more able to be present to other people or to experiences I would formerly be crawling out of my skin over. And in ways we'll talk about soon, I'm also closer to the relational God than ever. For those of you religious sorts who hope to hear God's voice and feel connected to God, this is great, great stuff. So even as a bad meditator, man, what a winner. But along the way, we can feel like complete failures. A while back, I read a terrific article on Slate.com called In Praise of Distracted Meditation by a man named Alex Zelnick. And he reminded me of what might be the most famous essay ever written about being a writer. It was by Anne Lamott, and it's called Shitty First Drafts. She ultimately incorporated this into a great book called Bird by Bird. And her point was that we lay people have this idea that great writers gently sip their tea and look out of their bucolic window and create masterpieces. She assures us that every single good thing ever written began as a crummy first draft where the author just put words on paper and dealt with them later. And as someone who's done occasional writing, I am so down with that. Zelnick's point is that the same is true with meditation. If you don't have a high tolerance for lousy meditation sessions, you will never last. But he points out that reminding yourself of what you would have done with that half hour if you didn't meditate might be helpful. Would half an hour of web surfing have done more for you than that unsatisfying meditation session did? His point is that anyone who reaps the benefits of meditation has a high tolerance for worthless sessions. And he reminds us of, if I can borrow from another tradition, a key Zen teaching, which is that the session itself, good or bad, is the benefit. When we're dissatisfied with the session, they'd ask, have you sat? Have you kept your back straight? I will tell you, they are very into keeping your back straight. Have you gently returned to your breath as best you could? Then you've done Zen, they say. My own very loose extrapolation of this teaching, sometimes called Zazen, has really helped me in life, by the way. When I'm tempted to evaluate an experience, I often find God reminding me, hey, it's Zazen. Have you done the thing you thought you should do? Then whatever, it's Zazen. So if the first thing to troubleshoot is feeling bad at contemplative spirituality, the second thing is wondering how to evaluate what it's doing for you. And you know, that one you'll have to tell me. As you've heard, I've gotten a number of ongoing benefits. Many others report similar and certainly greater things. But what I found is that I had the tolerance for unsatisfying sessions to stick with it. I think you'll need to note the benefits you feel after you've given it maybe a month or two. And if you're like me, you'll be sold. So we're almost to a close with our 5-minute spirituality videos. Join me the next time to look at a key insight from these great teachers about what it means to increasingly live right now in this moment. And if you enjoy 5-minute spirituality, you might also enjoy a lively weekly podcast on these things. And I also host a vibrant online group on this stuff each week with people from all over. To learn more, shoot us an email. See you soon.